First, if I talk about the significance of paper 2, that is Indian geography. So if I talk about the significance of paper 2, I can see, I'll just tell you one thing, because आज हमने क्या किया बहुत जल्दीबाजी में को स्क्रीन को, because many of you are saying it is good format. Yes, I also feel कि it is good format and it is now more natural for me to teach, because I have been teaching throughout in similar type of format. अभी भी I can see some reflections coming in because we were unable to put the screen behind, and because of that wall reflection is coming, I think. ठीक है, अब ये next classes में, कल की क्लास में ऐसा नहीं होगा. It will be much much better. ठीक है. So if we talk about the significance of paper 2, coming back to this part of significance of paper 2, there are a number of significances. One very important aspect of paper 2 is, it is in this case the output input ratio, if you talk about, is high. It is high. And how it is high? See, you have to understand, many times मैं students को ये भी बोलता हूँ कि if you want to prepare, for example, paper 2, many students ask me what we have to do to be prepared for paper 2 to attend the 500 plus classes. I just say, even if you have read your class 11th and 12th NCRTs of paper 2, this much information would be enough, along with the information that you have, the knowledge you have gained in paper 1. So paper 2 is more about the way you approach. There is no doubt the role of content. Content का तो role होगा ही होगा. But there are much more things than content which gives you marks in paper 2. So what I have found through my preparation, in paper 2, the time I generally give is around 30% of time given in your paper 1. So you generally give just 30% of the time you give in paper 1, and with that you can get very normally, if you have attempted the full paper and you have written overall well, then what will happen? It will be like it will be easily, you can say, the marks would be easily above 140. On the other hand, if you talk about reaching this much in paper 1, it requires enormous amount of hard work. Those of you who have given the paper, you must be knowing about this. And very important thing about paper 2 is, once you learn the way it is done, you will be constantly scoring very high in paper 2. So generally you will see that those students who get good marks in paper 2, it is like every year they will be getting good marks in paper 2. So this tells me that beside the content, there are other factors which are also at work in scoring for paper 2, that is Indian geography. And उसके बारे में भी बात करेंगे, but this is one thing. So in such scenario of geography, where we find that like dynamism is too much, uncertainties particularly are too much, we can say definitely that paper 2 acts as a buffer. As a buffer. So what happens? You can score good marks in paper 2, and because of those good marks, even if you get little bit less marks in paper 1, because the paper 1 generally tends to be like very fluctuating, sometimes very tough, sometimes easy. So in that scenario, what can happen? It can always be there to help you out, cross that marks which are required to get a decent score, which is considered as a decent score or high score in the optionals. Okay, so that is very important role of paper 2. Beside paper 2, you know, its significance is very, very high with respect to your GS. There, most of the questions which are coming, whether it is paper 3, whether it is paper 1 of GS, they are all related basically with paper 2. Also, the paper 2 is essentially what? Paper 2, if I say, it is case study of Indian geography. So if it is a case study of Indian geography, now tell me, can we say that many of the things that we learn in paper 2, can they be used as examples and case studies even in paper 1? Yes or no? Tell me. बताओ मुझे. Can we say that? Now, what has happened in the past, if you look into, you will be finding that most of the times people will emphasize that you use concepts of paper 1 into paper 2. But essentially, the emphasis on doing reverse, that is, you using paper 2 also in paper 1, it is less. Okay, so you can see that how useful can be your paper 2. Many times students ask me, ये question इतनी बार पूछा गया है कि I cannot even remember how many times. So they will ask me one very important question like, can we quote Indian geography examples in paper 1? Because वो तो सर world geography है. ठीक है, तो I always ask them one simple question कि tell me, don't you think that India is also part of the world? Obviously, yes, India is also part of the world. So why we cannot quote the examples of Indian geography in paper 1? And another testimony to what I am saying can be achieved from the fact that if you look into this previous few years questions, have you seen the increasing tendencies of questions based on India in paper 1? देखा है? Tell me, have you seen the how the questions related questions based on Indian geography have also been now being asked in paper 1, and there are many. ठीक है? So that is what I am saying. Many times we don't have to waste our time for search of examples, case studies, etc., because they are already there with you. You have already studied them in Indian geography. You just need to link it, memorize it, and recall it. That is basically what you have to do. Okay, so definitely you can see that paper 2 can give you very high marks. I have seen people scoring even in the contemporary era, scoring up to 180 marks in paper 2. Beside enormously helping in the GS, and not only that, also help in the paper 1. So you can understand why I said that there is a very high output input ratio if you little bit work on paper 2. ठीक है? So that is one thing. Now, generally, what we need to score. Let us talk about this. Paper 2. So what are the things that we need to score in to get good marks in paper 2? There are a number of things. One very important thing is no doubt the case of content. There is no doubt there is content. Now, when I talk about the case of content, here let us little bit discuss about the source. Okay, it is the source through which we have to study. As I said, something very basic which most of you would have done. For me, very important, very good source is the NCRTs of class 11th and 12th. There are two NCRTs, one in class 11th on Indian geography. There is another in class 12th on Indian geography. So these NCRTs is one of the basic source. I would say this is one of the basic source. And when I'm talking about NCRT, you know, NCRT का एक rule है. And what is the rule of NCRT? उसको फ्रंट से लेकर के लास्ट पेज तक पढ़ना होता है. ठीक है. It is not something where we can be selective. Everything given in NCRT is very, very important for us. ठीक है. So I hope first source is clear to you. Tell me fast. Do we have clarity about this source? ठीक है. Second source is you go through some books. Second source can be a book, and this book can be any of these. It can be Khuller, it can be book by Majid Hussain, or another book that is there is R.C. Tiwari. Now, very important thing about the books is what? These are to be selectively read. Here what we have to do? Selective reading. Very important thing is that many of you ask me कि क्या पूरा पढ़ना होता है? And I always say no. They have to be read according to your syllabus. ठीक है. और सपोज करो कि एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल देता हूं. टेक द केस ऑफ आयरन एंड स्टील इंडस्ट्री. ठीक है. अब आयरन एंड स्टील इंडस्ट्री के बारे में अगर हम पढ़ें तो वी विल बी फाइंडिंग दैट इवन द एनसीईआरटी of class 12th has sufficient material with respect to iron and steel industry. And I think most of you would have seen वो पेज देखा है जिसमें बहुत छोटे छोटे से डायग्राम बने हुए हैं मेजर आयरन एंड स्टील इंडस्ट्रीज को लेकर के. हैव यू सीन दैट पेज? टेल मी, हैव यू सीन दैट पेज? So if you have seen, you can clearly understand उससे ज़्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं चाहिए. बिकॉज वी विल सी इन आवर क्लासेस व्हेन विल कंडक्ट व्हेन विल टेक दोज क्वेश्चंस, विल सी उससे ज़्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं चाहिए. ठीक है. अगर कुछ एक्स्ट्रा इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए तो यू जस्ट नीड लाइक हाउ मच एक्सपोर्ट हैज़ बीन डन विथ रेस्पेक्ट टू आयरन एंड स्टील इंडस्ट्री, और सॉरी आयरन एंड स्टील. ठीक है. हाउ मच इज द प्रोडक्शन इन रीसेंट टाइम्स. So this kind of information etc which might be missing in NCERT, so you can either search on internet for that information, or if it is given in the book you can go for that. But problem is most of the books are little bit older, so this type of information will also not be given in the book. So now tell me, if whatever information I need which is there already in the NCERT and I have already read it, for that topic do I need again to refer to these books? Any of these books, do I need to refer to them? बताओ मुझे. I don't think we need to refer to them. There is no need. It would be simply wastage of time. We will see, we will produce better content just on the basis of the information given in NCERT and combining it with our knowledge which we have gained about location of industries from paper 1, and will produce a much better answer, much better content than given in all of these books. ठीक है. So what I'm just trying to say is that these books have to be read selectively. Where you feel that there is insufficient content given in the NCERT, you look into the books. Okay, to for more supplement that. There might be some topics missing in the NCERT. So again, I will look into the book for that. Particularly, what I want you to extract from these books. And one of my favorite books out of this is definitely D.R. Khuller. This is a more, you can say, more updated book. And because of that, I always suggest this one, although all these three are equally good books. Just I am suggesting Khuller because of the updation part. So basically, मुझे books में से क्या चाहिए? What I want, I just want from the books maps which are given. There are more number of maps which are given in these books. So those maps I want, some charts which are given, those charts I want. So this is something which I have to try to look into all of them which are given in the book. Okay? So this is something which I have to extract, which is compulsory. When it comes to content, तो जानते हो कि इंडिया में एक बहुत कॉमन सा एक डिजीज है that we all are more oriented towards quantity rather than quality. ठीक है? And this is true with most of the books written by Indian author. So that the book is more sold, they would tend to make the book very bulky, or it becomes very difficult for the reader. But readers की कहानी ये है कि they are like they don't read. ठीक है? That is the nature of Indian readers ki they don't read. Just they keep the books so that there is a kind of prestige associated कि पढ़ाकू लड़का है and all those kind of things. So जितना मोटा बुक होगा उतना ज़्यादा prestige. ठीक है? Because we, as I said, we tend to focus more on quantity rather than quality, and उसी वजह से those books are sold in good amount. Okay, so that is basically regarding the content. This is something which you need to refer to. There is a third content as well, and this is definitely the third content is the guidance class notes. So guidance class notes are a good source of the content related with paper 2. That is also you can go through. Just one thing I'll tell you, that there are two type of notes which we give in our classes. One is the handwritten notes जो students लिखते हैं, that is handwritten notes. But we always supplement some handwritten notes with some printed notes. So I'm telling you this because many of you have asked me कि sometimes some topics are missing in handwritten notes. So where are those? So basically the main thing is why they are missing or they look to be small or incomplete, because they were supplemented with the printed notes. ठीक है? अब प्रॉब्लम ये है कि बिकॉज ये वाले नोट्स तो किसी की कॉपी उठाओ और फोटोकॉपी हो जाते हैं. So many photocopy shops, what they did, they got this one, but ये वाले उसके साथ supplemented नहीं है जो photocopy shops पर मिलता है. And that is why, because of that, it seems to you to be incomplete. ठीक है? So जैसे वहाँ पर मैंने बोला एक NCERT प्लस बुक, उसी तरह से गाइडेंस के नोट्स में there is a handwritten notes which is like the basic one, and there is some supplementary material also we give, that is to be read. So that is basically the role of the printed notes. So फिर से बोल रहा हूँ, any of these sources, if you are going for the guidance class notes, there is no need for the previous ones, उसकी ज़रूरत नहीं है. If you are going for the previous sources which we talked about, the traditional sources of NCERT and books, then no need to go through the guidance class notes. ठीक है? So that is basically regarding the source. ठीक है? Now, so one thing that we talked about is the content. Now, I'll just little bit more elaborate on the content. And if you talk about the content, I generally find the answers that student which are writing with respect to paper 2, these answers tend to become very, very general. There are a number of reasons for this. One reason is they don't have practice and they don't know the way to write, how to write geography. But that is one thing. Second very important thing, however, is that they also don't have the technical content. ठीक है? So in most of the answer, the geographical content is missing. So I am saying the geographical content is missing. And when I am saying geographical content, definitely here we are talking about the Indian geography. ठीक है? So अगर geographical content की बात करें, एक छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल देता हूं. Suppose there is a question on pattern of agricultural productivity in India. Pattern of agricultural productivity in India. अब इसमें you will be talking about areas of high, medium and low productivity zones. ठीक है? तो सपोज मुझे हाई मीडियम लो, ठीक है, मैंने वो बता दिया, समझा दिया. बट अगर मेरे पास जोग्राफिकल कंटेंट मुझे अच्छे से आता है, इफ आई नो द प्रॉपरली द जोग्राफी ऑफ इंडिया, what will happen? I will be able to produce by myself. I will be able to produce case study. So for example, if I have to give, can I say case study of Punjab? Can we say, when I am talking about low, case study of any states like northeastern states को किसी को ले लिया? So anything like that. Now, when I have to produce a case study of Punjab, for example, tell me, when I'm talking about agricultural productivity, do I have to talk about 3 factors? I have to talk about the agro-ecological factors. I have to talk about the input factors. I have to talk about the institutional factors. तो ये 3 तरह के फैक्टर्स तो बात करने ही पड़ेंगे. ठीक है? अब देखो, प्रॉब्लम ये होगा, most of the students will not have good amount of knowledge, specific knowledge with respect to these. The specificity about Punjab, for example, would be what? Would be missing with respect to most of the students. ठीक है? So this is one very important lacuna, weakness, which I have seen in majority of the students, because none of us have geography as a background. Most of you don't have geography as a background. So because of that, what will happen? There is this weakness. So content की जब हम बात करते हैं, तो we have to fill this weakness. ठीक है? Now the question arises that how we can fill up this weakness. So there is a way, and I would suggest from this day itself you start. ठीक है? So what is we will be starting? We have to start working on regional geography of India. रीजनल ज्योग्राफी ऑफ इंडिया, ठीक है। और रीजनल ज्योग्राफी ऑफ इंडिया में क्या है, इफ आई जस्ट एक मिनट, ओके, हैव यू सीन दिस एनसीईआरटी, ओल्ड एनसीईआरटी, ये देखा है? इट इज वेरी ओल्ड एनसीईआरटी, अ जनरल ज्योग्राफी ऑफ इंडिया, दिस वाज ओल्ड एनसीईआरटी फॉर क्लास 12th, ठीक है। एंड इफ यू लुक इनटू दिस एनसीईआरटी, there is one chapter, a very beautiful chapter which is given in this NCERT, and just show it to you. इसमें पेज नंबर 78 पर देखोगे तो देर इज, on page number 78 you will be finding that there is a chapter by the name of regions of India, ठीक है। एंड आई थिंक उस चैप्टर में यू विल बी फाइंडिंग, you'll be finding that India has been divided into, I think, some 20 plus regions, ठीक है। if you have read that NCERT you must have seen, so India has been divided into some 20 plus regions, and physiography of each of these regions has been discussed very briefly in this NCERT, ठीक है। now अब what if I can do is, if I can just prepare for each of these regions a little bit of content, if I can know about the characteristics of each of these regions, then you can understand that Indian geography specificity which we अभी जो इसके बारे में I was talking about, you would be able to fill that gap. You will be able to produce many examples and case studies at will, and the specific geography of these areas you will be knowing, and thus that which I said, the geographical content, because तुम लोगों के answers they are more like GS, because you don't have that content, you don't have that geographical information about India, which is very important key, ठीक है। और अगर ये रीजन वाइज अगर हम सीख सकते हैं तो इट इज वेरी वेरी बेनिफिशियल। सो what I have to do, I have to prepare some notes on these 20 plus regions. अब इसके बहुत सारे तरीके हैं। One is either I go through some books like regional geography of India, पर कई बुक्स हैं, RL सिंह का बुक आता है, गोपाल सिंह का बुक आता है, बट दे आर वेरी बल्की एंड दे विल जस्ट वेस्ट योर टाइम, बिकॉज हमें एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से पढ़ना है, ठीक है। सो वी डोंट नीड to read such bulky books. We have to find smart ways of doing that. और वो smart ways हम कैसे निकाल सकते हैं? You have to, अभी इसमें एक्चुअली में इसमें सिस्टम में बहुत सारी चीज़ें इंस्टॉल नहीं हो पाई हैं। The atlas that I always use, it is not there. But if you look into the atlas, here what I will do, for each region I will fix one page for each of the region, ठीक है। और वन पेज का मतलब क्या है? फ्रंट एंड बैक, ठीक है। सो फ्रंट एंड बैक, so this is if I say this is one page, so front and the back of this page one region, तो इस तरह के जितने रीजन है उतने पेज हमारे रेडी हो गए। अब उस पेजेस में करना क्या है? you have to open the atlas, ठीक है, and you open the atlas, thematic maps given in the atlas, ठीक है, and in these thematic maps you will find, tell me, do we find in the atlas information related with the relief and geology? बताते जाओ मुझे, दिया हुआ है कि नहीं? डू वी फाइंड इंफॉर्मेशन रिलेटेड विथ रिलीफ एंड जियोलॉजी? पर्टिकुलरली जियोलॉजी का इंफॉर्मेशन तो मिलता है, सीधा है। रिलीफ का इंफॉर्मेशन भी होता है कलर वाइज, ठीक है। सो इट इज देयर। डू यू फाइंड इंफॉर्मेशन रिलेटेड विथ द क्लाइमेट एंड पर्टिकुलरली you will find in this precipitation and temperature, इसमें भी annual and seasonal भी दिया होता है, so that is there beside information related with drainage. For example, I can know which is the main river, the lifeline of the region, ठीक है। so there is information related with drainage, there is information related with vegetation, there is information related with soil, ठीक है। so this is physiographic information. Can I do one thing? Suppose I am talking about relief and geology. So suppose I am talking about an area which is Telangana, suppose. So can I draw which area would be, for example, what temperature, high or medium or low, something like that, not low. The temperatures can be drawn, precipitation can be drawn. So इस तरह के छोटे 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 diagrams, and I can keep on adding this informations which with each. So एक diagram इसका बन जाएगा, एक diagram, एक या दो diagram climate के बन जाएंगे. There will be one diagram related with drainage, vegetation, soil. ठीक है. So this I can do, and छोटे बनाने हैं on one page, front page पे ये सब आ जाएगा information. Then I can move on. I can look into other things also are there. Like for example, tell me, is there a information related with natural hazards? Yes or no? Is there information related with natural hazards? There is. I can add that information too. Plus, is there information related with human aspects? Definitely there is. So, there is information related with population density. You will find there is information related with agricultural, or rather say cropping pattern. Other type of information like irrigation, other type of information like transport. So for example, when I'm talking about transport, I can find that most important national highway of the region, or the most important railway line of the region. ठीक है. So that is there. Similarly, you'll find that there is industry map, major industries are given. ठीक है. अब एक चीज और सोचो, industries where there is location of industries, can we say Industrial locations. So can we say these industrial locations would essentially be also what? There would be, can I, on the basis of that, can I demarcate the network of growth poles, growth centers, and even growth points? This industrial location map plus on the basis of the political map where major urban centers would be given. So can I say that all these will give me an idea of which are the major growth poles, which are the growth centers, and which are the growth points of that region? Tell me. ठीक है, तो ये सारा इंफॉर्मेशन बहुत पिक्टोरियल और बहुत ब्यूटीफुल फॉर्म में, ठीक है, वो यस रिसोर्सेस मेंशन करना भूल गया, देयर इज रिसोर्सेज मैप एज वेल, ठीक है. तो इट इज ऑल गिवन इन द एटलस. एंड अगर सब सपोज करो कि मैंने टारगेट बनाता हूं दैट आई विल कंप्लीट वन रीजन इन 2 days, ठीक है, इफ आई मेक अ टारगेट दैट आई विल कंप्लीट वन रीजन इन 2 days. So suppose I am taking Telangana. So first day I did the physiography of Telangana. Second day I did the human geography of Telangana. तो फर्स्ट पेज, जो अभी हमने पेज की बात की थी, तो पहले दिन फर्स्ट पेज को फिजियोग्राफी के लिए यूज किया, उसके पीछे वाले पेज को आई यूज्ड एसेंशियली फॉर व्हाट, फॉर द ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी. ठीक है, सो इन 2 days आई विल कंप्लीट वन रीजन. ठीक है, तो नाउ टेल मी, अगर मैं डेली बेसिस पर आई जस्ट डिवोट हाफ एन आवर एंड जस्ट यूजिंग द एटलस, बाकी कुछ भी नहीं, देखो देर इज नो लिमिट टू नॉलेज. इफ आई जस्ट वॉन्ट to enrich it more, I can go into internet, I can find so much material from the books. But remember that we always have to calculate the output input ratio of our efforts. ठीक है, so tell me, if we just, what we do is, if I devote half an hour on daily basis and I'm just using the atlas, ठीक है, I'm just using the atlas, can we say we can do that? कर सकते हैं कि नहीं कर सकते हैं? And literally, those of you who can do this, you will see, you will get a very powerful tool for Indian geography. It is a very, very powerful tool. It will give you enormous amount of confidence also with respect to Indian geography. It will help you out in the mapping part as well. ठीक है, and this is something which will be the most ultimate thing with respect to the content of Indian geography. ठीक है, so I hope this is clear to you. So that is all about the content. So if you have now any question related with content, now ask me or I will move on. If you have any question related with the content. नहीं पूछना है किसी को, आगे बढ़ते हैं. ठीक है, देखिए हम क्या करेंगे ना, यू हैव सो मेनी क्वेश्चंस रिलेटेड टू दिस एक्टिविटी. फ्रॉम टुमारो वील स्टार्ट विथ one region. I'll give you a homework with respect to the regions, एंड विल इंडिकेट कि उसको कैसे प्रिपेयर करते हैं, ठीक है, इन द क्लासेस. एंड दोज ऑफ यू हु विल लाइक टू शो, तो जो टेलीग्राम का ग्रुप बना है, यू कैन इवन शो इन दैट, यू कैन पोस्ट इन दैट टेलीग्राम ग्रुप. ठीक है, सो दैट if anyone is doing better, others can also learn from that. ठीक है, तो उसको हम क्लासेस में करेंगे. दिस इज नॉट द प्लेस वेयर आई कैन गो इनटू द डिटेल्स ऑफ दिस. ओके, और आई टेल यू कि कौन से चैप्टर्स हैं. एज आई टोल्ड यू, इट वाज रीजन्स ऑफ इंडिया चैप्टर था इस एनसीईआरटी का. चैप्टर 5 starting from page 78 of this old NCERT. So you will find that. ठीक है, so that is all related with the content that we have to learn. इतना content अगर हमने कर लिया है इंडियन ज्योग्राफी में, तो it is more than sufficient. ठीक है, एक और चीज कंटेंट से रिलेटेड जो हमें जाननी है, इट इज द रिलेटेड विथ कंटेम्पररी content. So today, if you look into the questions, most of the questions you will be finding that they were based upon some current affairs. ठीक है, and if you do a Google search, a casual Google search, you will be finding that in them what will be happening, most of the questions which were asked, you'll find that there will be a link that would emerge, and the link would emerge from a magazine which is down to earth. ठीक है, so many of you ask me कि geography and you करना है. अभी तो geography और you का शायद publication ही बंद हो गया, तो नाम में लिखा हुआ है geography and you. तो geography optional वालों को तो पढ़ना ही पढ़ना होगा, ऐसा दिमाग में आता है. Geography and if you have read, you will be finding that it is more of a research type of magazine. So mostly some students, researchers, what they are doing, they are publishing their work. ठीक है, so from UPSC point of view, I never found that magazine to be very, very useful. There were 1 article, 2 article maximum in each of the issues which were there. It was monthly, I think. In 2 months it was one time coming. So hardly 1 या 2 आर्टिकल मिल जाता था जो यूजफुल होता था. बट ये सब ज्योग्राफी एंड यू बंद भी हो गया. दैट इज द थिंग. So even before, I didn't emphasize too much on geography and you, because there is a better magazine and that is Down to Earth. So for geography, one magazine that we have to cover up is this Down to Earth. It is very, very significant magazine from our point of view. Then another magazine, if you talk about, is Kurukshetra, and Kurukshetra is a magazine which is to be read very selectively. And what is the main purpose of this magazine? You have to gather lots of case studies from here. Lots of case studies are there in Kurukshetra magazine. So that is the main role of this magazine, Kurukshetra. So it will give you lots of case studies related with environment management in rural areas, etc. etc. ठीक है, अब इन सबको एक साथ हम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. एंड you know, we have started a guidance geography newsletter. ठीक है, where we are trying to include all the important aspects related with down to earth, even case studies etc. from Kurukshetra, other places also, other news which is coming up. So इसमें केवल मैं ये 2 सोर्स बता रहा हूँ. जिसको केवल मैगजीन पढ़ना है डायरेक्टली, ये 2 मैगजीन ऐसी हैं विच यू हैव टू read. In our newsletter, we are trying to even uh, enrich the content which is already given in down to earth, which is there in other magazine or other sources. ठीक है, सो इसलिए हमने क्या किया है कि उसको एक जगह पर कंसोलिडेट कर दिया है. एंड इफ यू हैव सीन, टू इश्यूज हैव ऑलरेडी बीन देयर एंड वी आर प्रोड्यूसिंग इट ऑलमोस्ट फोर्टनाइटली, मंथ में यानी कि 2 बार. And if you have seen that whatever topics we are taking, we are comprehensively dealing with those topics and all the news related with those topics. ठीक है, so even if you just want to go for one source, I would say that newsletters would be the one source which would suffice for your purpose. Beside, देखो सीधी सी बात है, no matter what source you are reading, newspaper is something which you cannot eliminate. So वो तो पढ़ते ही पढ़ते रहना. So many things come up in the newspaper as well. So that is related with the contemporary content, and it is very, very important part of your content. In recent times, it is found that this is the part which gives you an edge. It gives you lots of marks, better marks compared to the others. ठीक है, so contemporary content हो गया. Now, if I compare paper 1 and paper 2, I would say in paper 1 the role of content is 70 to 80%. ठीक है, it is 70 to 80%. On the other hand, in paper 2, I would say that the role of content is 50 to 60% in the marks. That means beside content, there are other things which are also needed. So what are those things? Here, a very important factor becomes the approach that you are taking in your answer. ठीक है, अप्रोच सभी जगह इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, पेपर 1 में भी है, पेपर 2 में भी है. The weightage of the approach in paper 2 is more compared with what is in paper 1. So what essentially is the approach? Approach is the way you will be writing the answer. ठीक है, so it is essentially way of understanding the question and writing the answer. ठीक है, अब इसका मैं एक एग्जांपल देता हूं. Can you see question number 2 here? आज का जो हमने क्वेश्चन लिया है, एनालाइज द वेरिएबिलिटी ऑफ मॉनसून प्रेसिपिटेशन इन इंडिया. ठीक है, एनालाइज द वेरिएबिलिटी ऑफ मॉनसून प्रेसिपिटेशन इन इंडिया. नाउ इफ आई लुक इनटू दिस, यू कैन सी मैंने बहुत सारे हेडिंग्स लिया, लाइक मीन ऑनसेट एंड विथड्रॉवल, इंट्रा सीजनल ऑसिलेशंस, the synoptic systems which are there, other factors like the Eurasian snow cover, there is factor of ENSO and Indian Ocean Dipole, the orographic precipitation. Several I have taken up as the explanatory factors which are there. Now, that is one way of writing. But अगर मैं क्वेश्चन में देखूं तो क्वेश्चन इज सेइंग द वेरिएबिलिटी एसोसिएटेड इन द इंडियन मॉनसून. सो टेल मी, if I say that the variability I am talking about, the pattern of variability, because the question is not asking causes of variability, it is asking discuss the variability of Indian monsoon. So when I have to talk about variability, tell me, can I say variability, I can divide it into two parts? Spatial and temporal? Yes or no? इस spatial और temporal में, particularly temporal में, there is what we call it as the intra-seasonal variability, and there is what we call it as the inter-annual variability. अब इसमें if I want to add more, I can also add besides spatial what is the present and what is, for example, impact of global warming क्या कर रहा है. Same thing here what the global warming is doing. ठीक है. अब इसमें when I am discussing spatial, can I say the spatial variability, it is related with the orography of India or relief of India? Is it related with the synoptic disturbances? Yes or no? So I will explain the spatial variability जो उसमें content मैंने दिया है. I will use that content in this form, in this approach. ठीक है. Same thing when I'm talking about temporal variability, I'll talk about the monsoon trough, how it moves north-south, Madden Julian oscillations, etc., etc. In case of the intra-seasonal variability. Inter-annual variability, we'll talk about number of things like the ENSO and the Indian Ocean Dipole. We'll talk about other things like Pacific decadal variability which is taking place, oscillations which are there. Similarly, the Eurasian snow cover as a factor. So many are there which ultimately affect the inter-annual variability. So मुझे बताओ, according to the question which we were talking about here, analyze the variability of monsoon precipitation in India. Tell me which was the approach which was better and more relevant to the question. Is it here the cause wise or pattern wise? ये वाला अप्रोच ठीक है या जो मैंने उसमें लिखा वो वाला अप्रोच ज्यादा बेटर है? टेल मी which approach is more better? You'll find that the pattern wise we talked about, the spatial, temporal, that is a more relevant type of approach. ठीक है. So this is what I am trying to say. This is the difference. और because देखो Indian geography में always what will happen, questions would be very dynamic. And dynamic questions का मतलब है that you will have to frame the answer of the question there only. And this will give an idea to the examiner how much you have understanding of the subject matter. ठीक है. How much understanding you have of the subject matter. ठीक है. So that is basically what? That is the role of the approach. So I would say that almost your 20% marks are related with the approach in Indian geography, which is very high. पेपर 1 में क्या होता है, उनके मोस्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस के आंसर बहुत फिक्स्ड होते हैं. ठीक है. तो वहां पर थोड़ा सा रट्टू तोते वाला द एस्पेक्ट वर्क्स मोर. हियर कम्स द रोल ऑफ क्रिएटिविटी. ठीक है. अब एक और चीज समझने की कोशिश करो. दोज ऑफ यू हु हैव डन माय पर्सपेक्टिव्स इन ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी क्लासेस, those also who haven't done, you must be aware that there is two terms are there. One is what we call it as chorography. and second is chorology. Chorography and chorology. Now tell me, chorography is essentially what? It is the description of the region. So here choro का मतलब क्या होता है? Choro is region and graphy is description. So chorography means description of the region. On the other hand, chorology is what? It is the study or science of the region. Science of the region. ठीक है? तो अब देखो, throughout the development of geography from the time of Verenius, geographers always wanted to do what? In fact, it became more, you can say, more visible, more manifested in the era of Ritter, okay, and later on. But always what they wanted to move from the regional studies from chorography to chorology. Okay. Hettner was very profound supporter of this idea that chorology needs to be developed. बाद में हार्टशॉन आया अमेरिका में. All of them wanted to do what? Wanted to make regional studies chorological, because regional studies were more chorographical. ठीक है? And graphy is what? It is, as I said, description of the region. Here it is analysis, understanding of the regions, developing the science of the region, causes. So describing with the reasons. So अब मुझे ये बताओ कि if when you have, most of you would have read the books of Indian geography, tell me, after reading the books of Indian geography books would represent which of these two? Do they represent more of chorography or do they represent more of chorology? Tell me. Do they represent more of chorography or chorology? Yes. I would also say that they are more like chorography. And even during our school times, even today when we study, बहुत ज़्यादा बोरियत होता है उसे पढ़ के. ऐसा लगता है कि इतने सारे फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर्स कैसे याद होंगे. इट इज अ वेरी बिग प्रॉब्लम. ठीक है? एंड यू नो व्हाट हैपेंड, बिकॉज जोग्राफर्स कुडंट कन्वर्ट regional geography from chorography to chorology, the period of 40s and 50s regional geography came under severe attack. ठीक है? It came under severe attack. Severe criticism was leveled against it. And if you are aware, you must be aware that as a result, it was replaced with another approach, which was quantitative revolution approach. ठीक है? तो देखो, जोग्राफर्स ऑलवेज वांटेड टू डू दैट. क्लासेस में देखेंगे पर्सपेक्टिव की मेन प्रॉब्लम. व्हाट वाज द मेन प्रॉब्लम? द मेन प्रॉब्लम वाज दैट these were two steps which were considered as the two steps of regional geography. So first was chorography and second was chorology. Now in these two steps, what was the case? First you have to find out all the information and then you do the analysis of that information. So हुआ क्या? Most of the geographers, when they were studying region, they spent most of their lifetime in just doing this. By the time they reached the second stage, they had become older, lost motivation and even retired. And as a result, they were unable to develop chorology. Proper chorology in geography couldn't develop. ठीक है? So this has been one of the shortcomings of regional geography throughout. Even today, you will be finding most of the books continue to be more of chorography rather than chorology. Now tell me, if in my answer I can make my answers more chronological, will it make the geographer who is checking your answer happier? Will he be delighted with your approach? Tell me. Will he be delighted with your approach? As a geographer, I will be really delighted if someone shows that geography is a science. Okay? Because all geographers want to do what? They want to show that their subject is science. And the most difficult thing to do is not in the systematic geography, it is most difficult to do that in the regional geography. Okay? So that is what we have to understand when we are talking about the approach. So if we can take a more chronological approach in writing the answers, you can understand that it is definitely going to fetch me better marks. Now, when it comes to chronological approach, logy is what? Science. So tell me, can I say science, is it based upon some tested theories, laws, and models? I can add concepts. Yes or no? Do we in science use theories, laws, models, and concepts to explain the phenomena? हाँ या नहीं? We definitely do. ठीक है? So if we can use these concepts in explaining regional geography, will our approach change? Will our approach become more chronological? I believe yes. Definitely it would become more chronological. Okay? So that is basically you have to understand with respect to the Indian geography. तो हम क्या करेंगे? I'll try to do this same thing in Indian geography in the 500 classes. But you have to move along this line while you are doing other topics. When you are reading your current affairs, you try to relate it with the concepts. If you can arrange in the framework of the concepts, then it would be like what? It would be very, very useful. It would be very beneficial. For example, एक छोटा सा example लेते हैं. Someone wrote here von Thunen. ठीक है? So von Thunen का एक example लेते हैं. So suppose we are saying that normally अगर हम लिखेंगे तो we will say that for agriculture development, very important is what? Very important is that there should be development of market opportunities. Market opportunities are very crucial to agriculture development. There should be presence of agriculture market. Now tell me, the same thing, can I use von Thunen to explain this same phenomena? Yes or no? Tell me, does von Thunen says that it is something like this? Here is the M, this means market, and here you can talk about land rent बात कर सकते हैं, या फिर मैं यहां पर लिखता हूं agricultural intensity, because intensity would be higher. Because of that, what will happen? Productivity would be higher, production would be higher. So there is distance decay. As you move away from the market, what happens? Agricultural intensity declines. Okay? So see, the same thing, what I am doing, I am trying to explain it from a theoretical viewpoint, a scientific viewpoint. Do you get what I am trying to explain you here? Tell me. समझ में आ रही बात? Here is very clearly the distance from the market. So if I am just saying ki, suppose I am saying that the rural mandis or the APMC mandis which are there, they are located near, in case of Punjab, due to which there is higher agricultural intensity and agriculture development. So this is just putting the things in graphical, or it is just graph, it is description. It is less explanation. But if I also say, because it affects, there is distance decay as you move from market, away from the market, there is distance decay applied with respect to agricultural intensity. Okay? And because of that, what happens in case of Punjab, because almost the average distance of the APMC mandis is below 5 kilometers from the farms, and as a result, what we find that there is more agriculture development. In fact, tell me, इसी diagram में I can say that I'll keep, for example, Punjab here. Can I say, suppose I am saying here it is 5 kilometers. Here if I say it is 35 kilometers. So somewhere here I will keep a state like Assam. And this very clearly tells me why Assam has lower agricultural productivity compared to what Punjab has. ठीक है? So this is what is the scientific method. अब देखो, हर टॉपिक का अपना कंसेप्ट है. Every topic has its own concept, theories, models which can be applied, which can be used to write it. ठीक है? So we don't have to overdo this activity, because the frame of the main focus is always Indian geography. But definitely to explain at many places the information we are putting forward, we can use these as the reference through which we'll be explaining them. And that is what we will be doing throughout our 500. I'll give you which topic, which concepts to be related with. अपनी तरफ से फालतू में मत relate करना. Many students I see that they just develop their own कि ये इससे भी relate हो सकता है, उससे भी relate हो सकता है. Geography में हर चीज सब एक दूसरे से relate हो सकती है. But there is something which we call it as more direct linkage and more indirect linkage. ठीक है? So you have to all find those related with the direct linkage. Deepak is saying, but these theories don't apply all the time. Yes, because there is theory is not always there. In geography, there are many concepts, many topics where there is hardly development of theories. Okay, many issues. So that is why I said number of things: theories, laws, models, and even concepts. Some concepts, some humanistic concepts can be applied. Okay, so it is not necessary that it should always be a theory. So that is about the kind of approach that we will be taking. So we will books का काम क्या होगा, जो अभी हमने फर्स्ट पार्ट में बात किया. बुक्स, एनसीईआरटीज, मैगजीन्स, दे विल गिव अस द रॉ मटेरियल, द कंटेंट रॉ मटेरियल. ठीक है? एंड what we will do, we will develop our own frameworks for every topic. So what we will do, we will use that content and put this content in our frameworks. ठीक है? So this will be our approach. और इससे क्या होगा, दो फायदे होंगे. एक, the necessity of memorization will go down because चीजें समझ में आ जाएंगी. ठीक है? तो उससे क्या होगा, मेमोराइज करना इजी हो जाएगा. सेकेंड, वी आर डेवलपिंग दैट लिंकेज विथ पेपर 1. ठीक है? दैट मीन्स मेरे पास रेडीमेड कनेक्शन है विच आई कैन यूज इवन इन पेपर 1 ऑल्सो. ठीक है? सो आई होप इट इज क्लियर विथ रेस्पेक्ट टू अप्रोच what I was trying to suggest here. in any question paper 2, if I am not able to relate topic with core geographical content, how to use examples to escape the trap. ठीक है? See, this is what we are going to do throughout 500 plus classes. We will take up variety of questions and variety of techniques, how to deal with them, how to make them look more like geographical. Till now, I have taken some questions of paper 2 this year. If you look into those discussions which I have taken up, you will get a fair idea of how to do that. Okay? So one thing is very clear, content and approach, both these are very, very important. Okay? Besides